everyone. This is the first lesson of computer network basics. In this lesson, we will discuss about evolution of computer networks. So, we use language to share information with each other. So, if we look into detail how this information can be exchanged between two persons when they are nearby. So, person A wants to share some information with person B. Whatever the information person A has in brain, he will convert that into sound waves, and these sound waves can reach the other person's ear, and where they will be processed and picked up by the brain and converted back into the whatever the information the person A wanted to communicate with person B. So for this they need to understand the same language so that they can share the information with each other in this manner. But what if person A and person B 100 kilometers away from each other? In this case, person A won't be able to share the information with person B because humans cannot produce sound waves that can travel 100 kilometers. That's not possible. So there is no way that these two persons can communicate with each other. So if the person A wants to share the communication with person B, he has to go all the way 100 kilometers and then he can share the information with person B. And same thing happens if person B wants to share some information with person A who is away like 100 kilometers. He need to go all the way to reach that person, and then only he can able to share that information. So the drawback of this type of communication is they won't be able to share communication when they are when they are like 100 kilometers away, even 1 kilometer away, right? So to efficiently share the communication, we have invented a postal system. So in postal system, what happens is person A just writes a letter. He will take a letter and he will write whatever he wants to share with person B, and then he will put it in an envelope, and on the top of envelope he will write from address and to address. From address will be person's A address, to address will be person B's address. He will take this letter, he will go to nearest post office and he will drop his letter there. Then the responsibility of the post office staff is to look at the two address, and they will forward this letter to the next post office in the direction of B. So like this there will be two or three or multiple post office, they are connecting two cities. So this way whatever the information the person has written in that letter can be reached through post office to the person B. So once person B receives the letter, he will open it and read that information. So when he wants to reply back, the same process happens again. So compared to the previous method of communication, this is an advancement because person A no need to go all the way to the person B's location to share the information. He can just go to the nearest, maybe 1 or 2 kilometers. He just need to go to drop his letter, and post office will take care of moving that packet from location person A's location to the person B's location. So in this way A and B can able to share information efficiently. So the next advancement we had was telephone system. So what happens in the telephone system is persons A will have telephone, person B will have a telephone. Each telephone will have some number. So if person A wants to share some communication, some information with person B, what person A all need to do is he just needs to dial that person B's number on his telephone and he can directly talk to him. So what happens in the background is when person A talks on the receiver, the voice signals will be converted into some kind of signaling that can pass along the telephone wires. So whatever the person speaks on one side, they will be transmitted in some kind of signals and they will be able to travel longer distances and able to reach the person B's location. There will be some devices in the middle to improve the signal and repeating the signal across like if the distance is like higher. So in this way there is no delay. Compared to the post office example, the delivery of the letter may take 2 to 3 days. It's not instantaneous, but in this case person A will be share the information with person B like right away. So there is no delay here. So this is the better advancement and we still use it today to talk with someone who is distant. So this is good. So while we have developed this system, we have invented computers. So what computers responsibility is, computer can store the information, it can process the information. For suppose you want to write some textbook or some letter or something, you can just open Notepad application and write whatever the information you want to write on it, and you can save it and you can look it after like 1 year or 2 years. It will store it in the computer. But if you want to transmit that letter to another computer, if you want to send the text file to another computer, we use similar system like the telephone system. So in the telephone system, the disadvantage is you can only share information in the form of voice. You cannot share a text file through telephone system. But as we have invented computers and they are so efficient of processing data and everything, so we want to share information from one computer to another computer. So for that, similar to the telephone system, there are cables connected all over the world and there are some devices called network devices. So what are the duty of network devices? Similar to the telephone exchange or post office. When they receive some information from one computer, they forward it towards the to computer wherever the for suppose computer A wants to send some information to computer B, they have to be connected using wires, and there will be network devices. What they will do is when this device will receive some information from A, it will forward it to B. So there are like so many things, but for now it's just like a simple topology. So in computer networks, what happens is computers are connected with each other similar to the telephone lines, and through that cables the information will be sent over to across the network and can reach the destination computer. So let's see how we can transmit these signals using the cables and how the computer sends the information. So to understand that, first we need to know these three systems. Decimals, everybody knows, it's just numbers 0 to 9, And next, binary is something that computer understands it. Computer doesn't know decimal, photos or videos or anything. All it can store as a memory is in the form of zeros or ones. And the another model is hexadecimal. Hexa means 6. Decimal, you already know its numbers 0 to 9. These hexa 6 is English alphabets A to F. So information can be represented in hexadecimal or decimals or in the binary form. But computer can only understand zeros and ones, so that if you want to tell a number or some information or anything, it has to be in the end has to be converted into zeros or ones. Let's see how zeros or ones stored in the computer. So whatever the information we store or we process, we transmit on computer will be the measuring units of this information. Is the smallest unit is bit. 1 bit means, you can imagine like that, a small block. It will either contain 0 or it will either 1. So each bit will have either 0 or 1. So this is the smallest unit we can store as form of the information. So if we have 8 bits, that means that we call it as 1 byte, and 1 kilobyte is nothing but 1024 bytes. Similarly, you have megabytes and gigabytes. So if you take a song audio file, it will be around like 5 to MB. That means zeros and ones, like for say let's 5 MB means 5 into 10 power 6 into 8 bits. So these many bits will be saved on the computer in the form of zeros or ones for an audio file. For a movie, it will be like 1 to 2 GB. Means those many bits the computer will store for a movie file. For suppose when you want to send some emoji through some messaging app, so emoji will consist of 32 bits. So the application will convert the emoji into zeros or ones, like that blocks 32. And if you able to transmit these 32 bits to the other computer, then the other person can able to see that emoji through that application. So basically in the telephone system, we have voice that has been converted into some signals, and these signals will be reconverted back to the voice, and these signals traveling through the telephone wires from one location to another location. Same for the computers. If two computers are 100 kilometers away, and if you want to send one audio file from computer A to computer B, you need to transmit 5, for suppose the audio file size is 5 MB, you need to transmit these many bits into the wire, so that the computer B receive this information forms of zeros and ones, and programs on the computer will convert that into the audio file. So how the information will be travel through the cable in the form of zeros and ones is, we don't send zeros and ones into the cable, right? So all we can send is signals. For suppose there are two types of cables that we will discuss in the next classes, but basically if you send something and if you don't send something, if you send something, if you don't send something, if you are sending some signal, that means it's 1. If you are not sending some signal, means it means 0. For suppose computer A sends a signal. If it sends a signal, then computer B receives it as 1. If it doesn't send signal in the next fraction, it will understand it as 0. Then you will send another signal, it will be 1. So for now, understand like that. There will be more in this technology, but as the beginner, all you need to know is these zeros and ones need to be transmitted from one location to the another location through these cables. So how computer will store this information? So if we take a block, currently let's take, we have 4 blocks. So each block value will be from right to the left, it will double. So it will starts from 1 and then it will double, and the next one it will double, next it will double, and next it will double. So it will go like this, the values of the blocks on a computer. So how do we represent information through these blocks? For suppose each block, assume like each block has a light. If the light is switched off, if there is no light, that means it's 0. So in this case, all zeros. In this case, all the lights are turned on, so all are ones. So this is how we will tell the computer what is 0 and what is 1. So this is how computer reads the data. For suppose we want to represent number 5. So how it will be stored in the computer is, to represent number 5, 4 blocks will be enough. And if we take 4 blocks, the value of the first block is 1, and next block will double, then the next one will double, like this. To make 5, all we need to have is these two. So if we turn on the first and the third from the right, so this will be value of this block is 4, value of this block is 1. So if you add both, this is 5. So this is how computer saves the information. So why we are discussing this topic is, we will get to know in the next classes where we discuss about IP address. So basically in this class you need to understand how to convert numbers into the binary into the numbers. So let's take another example. So here we have taken like 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. So we took 8 bits, means 1 byte. So now if you see the first, third, 2 3 4 5 6 7, so these lights are turned on, the other lights are turned off. Means how computer will process that is, so the value of these is, so when the turn light is on, then only you need to take that number. So you just need to add all the values of the each cell where the light bulbs are on. So value of this cell is 1, value of this cell is 4, value of this cell is 32, value of this cell is 64. If we add all that, it will be 1 0 1. So if you want to represent 101 in binary, it will be 011 00 101. So this is how computer stores the information. So for the first class, the assignment is, whatever your age, convert that into binary. For suppose if your age is 5, you should represent it in zeros or ones. Same for the birth year. If your birth year is 1990, you need to convert that into zeros or ones. Yeah, that's all the assignment for this class, and we'll meet you in the next class.